Hey guys, Airsoft Al here, and today I'll be reviewing a gangster's gun. The gun that has solidified itself in human history as being the evil weapon that it is. I am of course talking about the Cal-Tech Tech 9. Let's dig into it.
Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the beast. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the beast.
So the real steel variant of the Cal-Tech Tech 9 is actually through and through civilian. Production beginning in 1985 and ending in 2001. I'll explain why. Now, before I get any further into this review, I want to kind of address the elephant in the room pertaining to the real steel variant, including what this replicates. In 1999, this month to be exact, on this date to be exact, one of the worst shootings occurred on U.S. soil in human history. I remember it clear as day. In 1999, two students walked into Columbine High School and killed 12 students and one principal and one teacher, and injuring many more. The weapons that were used in this massacre were not only improvised explosives like pipe bombs and propane explosives, but also a Savage shotgun, a sawed-off double-barrel shotgun, a Cal-Tech carbine, and finally, the Cal-Tech Tech 9. This attack molded and shaped the way bullying is handled in high schools now. This attack will never go away, and has solidified itself as one of the worst massacres that ever happened on U.S. soil. Cat, I'm trying to be serious here. I know. Fuck! And my serious moment has gone away. So, with the elephant in the room out of the way, and this weapon, and the replication of the Tech 9 being known and used in that very horrible massacre, let's get away from the dark shit and let's get into the actual gun itself. The Cal-Tech Tech 9 is actually a very interesting gun, being civilian only. However, even though the airsoft variant has only seen a Springer variant and not any kind of GBB or AEG until recently, when the Echo One company basically released the GAT, or General Assault Tool. Now, is this based off of a real submachine gun or a machine pistol? I am not sure. I'm still doing research on that. And a lot of other people are doing research as well on this bad boy. But, even so, that's not what we're talking about. What we are talking about is the Springer variant here. This variant, which is actually within the $20 range. I'm getting a lot of $20 guns because a lot of $20 guns are actually pretty decent. Now, before I go any further, know this now, this is a Blackwater gun. I know a lot of you are probably looking at me going like, Blackwater, why does it sound familiar? Well, Blackwater is a very small, just now growing company, to my knowledge, I think, that is actually a pretty decent little company when they create BB guns and airsoft replicas. They're mostly Springer and, just the economy-friendly stuff, but from what I've researched, they're starting to get a little bit better. Now, as for the real steel variant has been featured in God knows how many movies as that gangsta gun with them doing like this and all this crap. And of course, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, as well as a few other Grand Theft Auto titles. But the big money maker that this gun is well known in is Counter-Strike, as well as recently reintroduced into Battlefield Hardline as the bad guy gun, or even the police gun, which kind of funny since the real steel variant has no military and or police service records. None. Except for a handful of counties with the sheriff's department in those counties, so that doesn't count. The gun needs to see widespread usage before I consider it actually being used by law enforcement and military. So, aside from that, what about the Springer variant? Well, the Springer variant is actually really, really nice. Granted, it does not have a hop-up. Sorry guys, there is no hop-up on this gun. This is a fixed hop-up gun. However, it does have some features that I really want to talk about that are questionable in my mind. Now, the gun is completely see-through polymer, and it's a very good polymer, mind you. And the gun, you can actually either cock like this, or you can actually just use the pump action. The sights are not adjustable, which you don't have to. This gun is pretty accurate on its own, and let's be honest, you won't be using the sights. You'll basically be using this as a point-and-click gun, where it's basically straight out, aim in the general direction, and you'll hope to hit the bastard. So, what about the magazine? Well, the magazine itself actually holds a good bit. 30-round magazine, stick mag, and this actually can accept, from what I've been told, this can actually use the magazines from the MP9 AEG. Where it's basically the little wind-up mag. Now, that's what I've heard. Not confirmed, nor have I seen, but I've just heard word of mouth about this. Now, it does hold about 100 or so, about 200 to about 190 BBs in the reservoir back here, which is actually a very well-built magazine. I actually do like the look of the gun. There is one problem, though. This gun is distributed by Cybergun, and recent employee testimonies from ex-employees have actually opened my eyes from my blinding love of Cybergun. And this is actually kind of a thing because the spring in the actual magazine is a bit weak. So you might want to consider opening this bad boy up, putting a much more denser spring in there so it can feed all those BBs. That's just my opinion on it. Because in the combat footage you're about to see real soon, I have to actually put the gun like this when I'm getting those last few BBs. Now, what I like about the see-through variants is it can help me show off a few things. One of which is the weird safety. The safety is here on the trigger, which means you just got to actually use your finger here and push it forward and then do that. Which, as you can see, I have to actually move my whole hand away from the grip, which means I have to basically not give myself the ability to. Not only that, but there is no sling point. The Caltech Tech 9 had a rear sling point where you can actually have it like this, and it'd be here. That way you can actually do that, which means you could actually detach from here and boom, boom, boom. I don't like that. I don't like that they did not fully replicate the gun. Now, another thing I want to point out is that this does have slam fire. Now, for those of you who do not know what slam fire is the ability to basically hold down the trigger, which I am doing now, and I'm going to try and replicate this as close to as possible as you can see it. I push back on the actual thing, that locks it back, and I slowly push forward here, and when I go to boom, just like that, as you can see, which means I can basically turn this into an automatic weapon, or I can just basically like that, just like that. But at the same time, I have been hearing that there have been a lot of slam fire weapons in airsoft. The last time I ever heard of slam fire is from Nerf Cat. ISIS, I love you, kitty, but you have to leave me alone when I'm working. Now, as I was about to say, the only other reference I could actually find of a safety mechanism is that the Caltech Tech 9 actually had a side safety. It didn't have a safety down here in front of the trigger. I'm guessing this is just something the marketing kind of did. I'm not really sure about that. I'm still doing research on the Caltech Tech 9, because a lot of the things, because apparently there were so many different variants that it's really hard to try and keep up to date on it. Now, as for comfortability, without gloves on, this is actually a really comfortable gun. This is actually a really good gun to hold. I'll admit this is actually really nice to have if you're cosplaying or if you're doing something. I kind of like the feel of the gun. It's definitely modeled after the shell ejecting model from the 90s. And if you want to know more about that, go check out Red Wolf Airsoft's review on that one. Their Blast from the Past series. It's actually really cool. But yeah, I definitely do like the grip. It's definitely nice, funky. And what's cool is you can actually unscrew this, and you can actually remove the grip entirely. And from what I've researched, you can put an actual charging handle on this where you can basically go like, like that, like an actual Caltech. Outside of that, though, the only other research I've actually found on the gun is that it stopped production in 2001 because of the bad publicity Caltech got from not only the Columbine shootings, but, well, not just from the Columbine shooting, but also recent recent criminal activity involving their firearms. So, yeah, Caltech kind of is starting to come back from the backlash of the media, but not entirely. They're still but this is 2016, and with Airsoft being the representative of their weaponry, Caltech is starting to get up in their Caltech. But production did stop, but they did produce well in the millions of Caltech Tech 9, so it's kind of how it is. Anyway, enough of my gabbing. Let's go ahead and get on to the combat footage so you can see this little bad boy in action.
Watch it, they're coming in from your sides! Don't come here. No, no, no. Yeah, boss! Nice! Yeah, it's back up. Huh? Let's back off a bit and give him some breathing room. Yeah, let's give him some breathing room, guys.
So, yeah, with everything you saw and me just going nuts about it, I'll admit this now. I love this gun. But I'm not going to let my personal feelings judge my critiqueness. While, yes, I believe that there could have been improvements to make it very much worthy of that $20 price tag, this was actually $25. But even so, I say a gun like this, no. This is roughly like a $15 gun, maybe 18 if that. Because I've seen other guns which are kind of like this around the $15 price tag. But it's still a decent little gun. And the Slamfire is definitely a novel gimmick, is the best word I can say. It's definitely a novel gimmick. Magazine, definitely you want to mod, work on at least. I have seen people take some silencers and actually put them on here to make them a little more awesome, a little more cool. I can't really think of anything else to actually add to the actual gun itself, but I will admit this. The gun does not get my legendary seal of approval. But I will admit that it has kind of put a nice little bit of an impact on me. Now, I will admit that it's definitely designed to be a sidearm. It's definitely designed to be that nice little backup gun to have in case your main one goes down. But even so, the Caltech Tech 9, my final verdict on this bad boy is no more, no less than an 8 out of 10. It's a good buy at $25. You can let this take away your money at $25. Now, if the price has gone up recently, it's because of asshole corporations. But even so, I will admit that it's just a really good, sturdy gun. I've dropped it, I've done a lot to it, and while, yes, I'm definitely not a big fan of certain things, I will admit that there are some factors of the gun itself that kind of raise the merit for it. And, I don't know, it's just a novelty of Slamfire that kind of put it up to being above a 7 out of 10. So, yes. Is this worth your money? Oh, most certainly yes. Can it be modded? Oh, you bet your sweet fanny it can. Because I've seen a lot of people do it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I've been Airsoft Al. And next week on Airsoft Al, well, next time on Airsoft Al's Airsoft Reviews, I'll be reviewing a beauty from the 90s. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
That's the sound of the police. That's the sound of the beast. That's the sound of the police. That's the